us know where and how you're listening. The Weekend Roundup is produced at the CBS News Washington Bureau. Sarah Fishman's the technical supervisor, Alan Peng provides production assistance, and Tara Lipinski is the executive producer. Have a great weekend. I'm Stacey Lynn, CBS News.
The residents at Stones River Manor love the activities and the environment.
They have everything. They have exercise class. The activity center has the Bible study that I like very much. Everyone is so friendly. They really want to make you happy here.
Stones River Manor, serving the community since 1977.
And you have the little thing around your neck that you can press a button if you need help right away. I feel very safe here.
Stones River Manor in Murfreesboro, near the intersection of Haynes Drive and Memorial Boulevard.
WGNS. Our family at Demas's Restaurant are proud to support local emergency responders who put their lives on the line for our community each and every day. This is Peter Demas, and here is this week's Demas's Emergency Responder of the Week.
A Murfreesboro firefighter and a Rutherford County deputy. Captain John Flint and Deputy Matt Mosley were at a game and rendered first aid to a player who had a complete lower leg fracture. Captain Flint and Deputy Mosley were able to advise EMS to continue patient care and prepare for transport. Thank you to Murfreesboro firefighter Captain John Flint and Rutherford County Sheriff's Deputy Matt Mosley for going the extra mile.
When you see a firefighter, police officer, paramedic, or telecommunicator going the extra mile, let WGNS know.
The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. Portions of our programming have been pre-recorded. The Good Neighbor Network, WGNS, Murfreesboro, Smyrna. Flagship station for MTSU Sports.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance Policy Perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliates.
Dr. Automotive Auto Repair and Maintenance Mechanic Shop Garage provides car owners in Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Laverne, and the Middle Tennessee area with excellent auto repair services. Deep-rooted experience in serving both foreign and domestic automobiles allows for proper diagnosis in a timely manner. Check them out online at autorepairsmyrna.com, call them at 615-220-0971, or stop on in at 1205 Hazelwood Drive in Smyrna.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
This is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
When I say VFW, you probably have some visions of a smoke-filled bar with a bunch of old-timers eyeballing you. Well, the Stones River VFW is doing things different. No smoke-filled rooms, no turning prospective members away, and a strong emphasis on camaraderie and community. We believe in instilling our American values in our young people through numerous programs such as Voice of Democracy, Patriots Pen, Scout of the Year, and VFW Teacher of the Year. Stones River Post intends on becoming a driving force to help, aid, and assist wartime veterans. So if you're one of those veterans with a campaign medal and you want that sense of purpose that you've been missing, then give our recruiter Andrew Farr a call at 615-490-5715.
Are you concerned with the state of America, your state, and your community? Then you're in the right place. This is the Rutherford Magazine Show with host Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
All right. You listen to the Rutherford Magazine Show. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Got a big show tonight. Kind of spooky, kind of scary. Jackson, you ain't going to get scared, are you? Huh? You don't get scared?
No.
You don't? You sure?
Yeah.
You never been scared in your life?
I've been scared, but not of
get,
stuff like ghosts.
Well, you're going to get scared tonight because it's scary. Okay. I've got Jeremy Smithson in the house. Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
Doing good. And then I've got a special guest. I know I'm going to chop your name up.
That's fine.
Let's go ahead and say your name.
My name's David Villa.
Villa.
Yes,
See, I want to
sir.
say
Yes,
Villa.
sir. It's because I'm Mexican, so
okay.
we pronounce double L's as Y's.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
so it's
yeah.
Villa.
Yes,
Villa.
sir. Yes,
and then
sir.
it's
David.
I know your mom's listening saying, my God, Mike, I done told you his name 10 times. You know, I know your mom, Jessica, she's over at Heritage South Credit Union. I've tried to get her to come up on the show with me before.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
But she texts me. This is really interesting. She texted me the other day, and you know what? Let me just read the text off because I thought, man, this doesn't sound like her with this question. You know, just, you know how certain people are just like, this doesn't really sound like this person. I'm just going to read the text off because it really piqued my interest, you know, when she texts me. Here it is. Here's what she texts me the other day. She says, Mike, I have a question. Are you busy? When you get a chance, do you know who or how, if someone wanted to get involved in ministry inside like prisons? Mm-hmm. I know it's a random question. Think about it, and if you can guide us, let me know, please, and thank you. So I thought, I thought that was the wrong person. I thought, surely this doesn't sound like your mom, with all due respect, okay?
Right, no,
and
of course.
And she was asking about you.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us, you're just 18 years old.
Yes, sir.
And why would your mom text me asking me that question?
Because later on, before I even mentioned it to my mom, I felt as though had God put it in my spirit to help others, because when I was in high school, I would help out with the special needs program or help out my friends, whether whoever it was. So I'm constantly helping, and I would see posts on like social media of like prisoners being baptized, you know, coming to Christ even after they have done terrible things. And I believe that we all have done terrible things, and we shouldn't condemn those people for doing things that are different, because sin is all sin, no matter how little or how big. So that's why I wanted to be involved in that, to show them that, hey, there's still love out here, and Jesus can still, the sacrifice goes for everybody, not just for Christians alone. He sacrificed his life for the world. And he loves everybody. And I want to show that to people who may not even have love.
And how old are you again?
I'm 18, sir.
Man, that's some hope right there.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and speaking of, church, man, Jeremy, you would get down on the drums today. He's a drummer.
Yeah.
Man, I heard you up there.
Yeah, well, it started out a little rough this morning. We were having some trouble with,
I thought it was good.
It sounded good with the finished product, but
it was a little rock and roll, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was like a little rockabilly / swing / a few other genres there.
Y'all gonna get in trouble?
Trouble
for rocking out?
No.
Deacons aren't get on to you?
No.
Brother Hazard?
No.
Dick Peach? None of them? No,
Mike, we're in the South. Mike, we're in the South. We love that sort of thing down here.
Well, it was refreshing. It really is. Who's the guy on guitar again?
Nathan.
Nathan.
I forget his last name.
Starts with an S, isn't it?
I forget his last name.
I hope they're not listening. Anyways, but no, that just I was really interesting that your mom texted me like that. Because you really wasn't raised up in church or anything, were you?
When I was very young, like I would be a part of like the choir. I was like 6 years old.
Oh, you sang in the choir at 6?
Yeah, and then
really,
and then I was like 9, and then
Did you grew up Catholic?
No, I think I grew up Protestant.
Yeah.
I don't really remember too much of it.
Okay.
But Yeah, and then I fell out, and I just did me.
Yeah, man, that's really awesome because you worked. Because I think your mom had you call me, and then I invited you to our Men of Hope, our little Bible study that we do at
Yes, sir.
Hope Fellowship Church over in Lee Victor Parkway, and you worked till 4:30 that morning, didn't you?
I had actually got up a little early at like 3:30, but yeah, I got.
And what'd you do? Because you came to the Bible study. Somebody said you got there an hour early.
Yeah, I got there at 6:30.
Did you not go to sleep or anything?
No, sir.
Man, I couldn't do that. At that age, I'd have been sleeping. Especially now, I'd have been staying out till like 5, but I'd have been sleeping at 6 a.m. or 7.
I was absolutely tired.
That was really impressive. And you came in. We didn't have the crowd. We usually have about 30, 35 guys in there.
Right.
And what I like about it, some of the guys don't even know. Some of them don't even go to that church. I think 1 or 2 don't even go to church.
Right.
A couple are Catholic. Some are, a Baptist church and all. But it was really impressive to see you there. And I know the guys were really impressed because you were obviously the youngest one there. Right. And I think there was a guy maybe 25 that sat,
Yes, sir.
So I was encouraged to be around, some older guys that could kind of mentor you and teach you, help keep you out of trouble.
Of course,
too,
of course.
So you've had friends. You were sharing me. You've lost a few friends, haven't you?
Yes, sir. This year alone, the beginning of the year, I lost a friend to cancer. His name was Braxton Harrell.
Wow.
I loved him. That was a good friend growing up. And I also lost a friend named Jeremiah Collins. He was a football player, and he tragically died in a car crash.
Yeah, I remember your mom telling me about that. Now, what school did y'all go to?
Oakland Middle and Oakland High.
Okay. Who was your principal at that time?
The high school was Jim Marshall, Mr.
Oh, okay.
Jim.
Good principal?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, was he?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
Don't say nothing bad.
No, I liked most
Did you
of
ever
my
get paddled?
teachers. No.
You never got paddled?
No.
Really?
They stopped doing that.
They stopped doing that.
I think they only did it one time when I was in high school, and that was like in 2016.
Who was it? He must have been terrible.
No, it was
a terrible kid.
No, it was some girl.
Was it that paddled girl?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
My wife got paddled in school. Yeah, Mr. Rakes paddled me, paddled my son. I think my father-in-law got paddled by Mr. Rakes. Mr. Rakes, he loved paddling. You know Mr. Rakes?
I've spoken to him multiple times.
Guy.
Like, yeah.
I offered him. I sat beside him at our reunion, our high school reunion. Yep. And I said, Mr. Rakes, I'll give you $50 for that paddle you hit me with. And he said, no, I won't. I said, and I was just, I'll go 100. He goes, no, Mike. And I said, I'll give you 1,000. And he wouldn't take it. He wouldn't take $1,000 for a simple piece of wood. Wow. I think they're gonna put it in a museum. If the mayor's listening, Mayor Reed or Brian Hercules, gonna put it in a museum.
When I was younger, I was watching a lot of westerns, like John Wayne sort of westerns. The first time I saw Principal Rakes when he was at one of my sister's swim banquets.
Yep.
I noticed my mom at the table was like, Mom, that's John Wayne over there.
Is he really?
He looked like John Wayne. If you like his like younger years or so.
His mind is still real sharp. He was in Rotary with me, and we were leaving, and A.C. Puckett, who's now deceased, he was literally one of the founders of Laverne. I think the second mayor. AC was just a great and I told Mr. Rakes, I said, Mr. Rakes, I said, both times you paddled me, it wasn't my fault. It really wasn't my fault. It was somebody else's. Really. And I got in a fight with the guy, and it was really his fault. And then Mr. Rakes carried back there, and man, he lit me up. It was like 3 licks, and then a guy was cheating off me. Robert Bittner. I remember it was Robert Bittner. I ran into him a while back, reminded him, got me in trouble. He was cheating off me. And Mr. Gonzalez sent us up the office, and Mr. Rakes said, y'all bend over at desk. And I said, Mr. Rakes, he's cheating off me. Because you shouldn't let him cheat off you. Bend over, and boom, 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 lit me up. But here's this strange thing about discipline. Everybody that disciplined me were my favorite teachers. Mm-hmm. It's the strangest thing. I don't know. There's got to be some psychological term for that. But I knew they kind of cared. I remember he walked up, and I've shared this on the radio. He walked up to me, put his arm around my shoulder one day. And high school years are tough years. Right. They're really tough years. And he put his arm around me. He says, Michael, I've always heard you're a very polite young man. And those are what I call words of affirmation, which is something you ought to study, words of affirmation. And all that did was remind me to use my manners a little more. But I thought it was very honorable for you at such a young age to care about ministry.
Yes, sir.
And then prisons. I mean, nobody does that.
Yes, sir. It's just it's the way I grew up. My mom always told me just to love everybody.
Yeah.
But I know that the Bible says that that we can't do any good outside of God.
Yes.
So, I want to do good works for God and just show His glory and His faith in me, and I just want to help as many people as I can.
That's very honorable.
Amen.
I've been back in school for many years and working on second degree, and I was in class of the day, and I'm kind of looking for a tutor to kind of help me because I'm not good at the video editing and that sort of thing. It's a big challenge for me. I mean, to y'all it comes natural,
Right.
but I was talking to a young lady, and she was going to try to help me a little bit, and she said something about, somehow she mentioned she was a Christian, and she said, but I'm reluctant to speak up in class. And I thought, that's kind of sad that students are afraid to speak up.
Right.
You ever feel that way in college?
Well, actually, down here, well, it's probably just because where we are and like historically and regionally. I mean, it's not necessarily like looked down upon as being a Christian because we are in the Bible Belt.
Yeah,
it's pretty like widespread and widely known. I don't think a lot of like college kids at MTSU shun other people of the Christian faith, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I'm rambling. But
cancel culture, you mean, or the woke crowd?
No, not necessarily that. I mean, even down here in the States, there's only one time I've seen wokeism rear its ugly head, and that was when a pro-life booth was set up.
Oh, yeah.
On campus.
Oh, it's real.
Yeah.
You just follow me to Nashville. You'll see wokeism, cancel culture all over the place.
Yeah.
It's getting bad. But, you think about those students that are in New York or San Francisco or Sacramento, what it would be like for those students. But I appreciate your boldness, because most people are sheep, to be honest with you. Most people just follow. Very few people are going to lead.
We're supposed to be the sheep because Jesus is our good shepherd, right? And the sheep, us being representatives of sheep means that we are lost people.
Yes.
And Jesus, of course, being our good shepherd, is the one who's supposed to lead us and guide us. And no matter how far we go off, because lamb, they'll spread.
Oh, yeah.
He will still come back and round us back up and keep them close.
Well, our lesson today, Dick Peets, Jim Winchester shared. It was a great lesson, and we're all together in the big auditorium because they're doing construction
looks
at
great.
Parkway.
The addition looks great. I'm excited.
I haven't been back there. Yeah.
I'm just excited to see the finished product. Just from looking on the outside, I think it's going to look amazing.
Yeah. But he talked about where Jesus seen the guy's hand that was shriveled up, and he healed the guy's hand on the Sabbath day.
Yep.
And how the Pharisees said he's got all upset.
Right.
But you look at Christ, how he had to stand up, go against the status quo, the powers to be, and then called them all out. I mean, you talk about being bold. I mean, even an atheist, like Jackson here, would have to say, man, that guy's pretty interesting.
Right.
Even my professor's from India, and I've one of the quotes I like from Gandhi, which is sad. He says, I like your Christ. It's those Christians I have a problem with.
Yep.
Like, whoa. That's a wake-up call to us. Like, hey, man, we need to make sure that we're following his example, not other people in the church, because people will get you lost and confused, for sure. Well, one thing I wanted you to share is somehow you and I got talking about, your mom shared something about Marshalls
right
the other day. And it was funny. She already shared this with me before you and I got talking.
Yes, sir.
So we're talking about ghost stories and things like that. And if Marshall's management's listening, please forgive us. Maybe we get mad at us for scaring off customers. But tell us because see, your mom already told me about Marshall's. Like and then you come up with this other story, not knowing I talked to your mom about Marshall. So go ahead and share that story.
Well, me and my friends, it was around closing time, and we usually there was this girl I knew. Her name was Leah, and she would scare me all the time because she was little. She was barely of 5 foot, so she can hide easily. Well, I thought I had seen her duck down into one of the clothing racks, and I'm like, oh, she's trying to get me again. So I go and I open it, and nobody was there, and I'm checking, I'm looking. I call her. I said, hey, where are you? Where are you located? all the way in the back, and I'm like, whoa.
Really?
Because that was like real, like
you seen
full person, hair flowing.
Really?
Oh. Yeah. So I was like, I thought it was a legit person.
Wow.
Absolutely. So that's why when I checked, I'm like, I kind of freaked out.
It'd be interesting. I know we're fixed to go to break, but it'd be interesting to talk to Ross's employees next door. And then what's the other store to the right?
I don't know.
The furniture store.
I have a theory, but we can talk about when we get
your
back
mom,
from break.
Your mom's yelling on the radio right now, like it's so and so. Is it Haverty's or Rhodes or something? Another furniture store to the right.
Home Goods.
Home Goods.
Yes, sir.
It'd be interesting to talk to. Hey, man, you ever seen a ghost? They'd probably look at you like you're a little crazy.
Right. Absolutely.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Yes, sir.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
When I say VFW, you probably have some visions of a smoke-filled bar with a bunch of old-timers eyeballing you. Well, the Stones River VFW is doing things different. No smoke-filled rooms, no turning prospective members away, and a strong emphasis on camaraderie and community. We believe in instilling our American values in our young people through numerous programs such as Voice of Democracy, Patriots Pen, Scout of the Year, and VFW Teacher of the Year. The Stones River Post intends on becoming a driving force to help, aid, and assist wartime veterans. So if you're one of those veterans with a campaign medal and you want that sense of purpose that you've been missing, then give our recruiter, Andrew Farr, a call at 615-490-5715.
Rutherford Magazine Show. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. What was that you played, Jackson? What was that? I thought that was a song. What was that?
Just some scary ambient
scary
stuff.
What's it called?
Just
ambient music,
yeah.
background music.
Just come in and just my fellow Americans, I am raising your taxes 50%.
No, let's don't hear that. That is some scary news. Jeremy, you had a theory, and you shared off the air at break. Go ahead and share what you just telling me.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background. I am interning at the Stones River National Battlefield, and as I'm going through my internship, I'm learning that the battle took place all over Murfreesboro, all over the area of like medical center and a little bit of Old Fort. My theory, because of what he saw, I believe that that's possibly an entity from the battle. It has some sort of connection to it. Whether or not there was any official records regarding any sort of civilian children somehow winding their way to the battlefield itself, I don't know. I can do some looking into that, but I believe that is in a way related to that.
I wasn't even thinking about the battlefield. Yeah. You know, because I was thinking maybe there was, you know, a home built on that site or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, you remind us at the battlefield.
Yeah, we have a map at the visitor center over there at the national park area. There's a shaded part that's, you know, the actual land that the National Park Service is able to make claims on, and then outside of that, there's a dark tan area, and then there's an area that's lighter tan. The dark tanned area is the actual scope of the battle itself. That is where the actual battle took place, and, you know, lighter tan is just regular Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I pulled up Stonesboro battlefield. Let's see, the Union Army had 1,700 men killed, 1,700 were wounded, and 3,700 were missing. Total 13,200 casualties from an Army estimated at 41,400. The Confederate casualties included 1,300 killed, 7,900 wounded, and 1,000 missing, for a total of 10,200 out of an estimated army of 35,000. I mean, it was a bloodbath over there, no doubt.
Yep.
You know. What is who's your the director over there?
Who's the head ranger?
Yeah,
pretty much. Ranger Jim Lewis.
Jim Lewis.
He's the local the battle historian.
Do they do anything around October or Halloween? Do they do any tours?
They do, you know, the weekend caravan tours. You know, you hop in your car and you follow the park ranger.
But they don't do anything around Halloween or nothing.
No, we do what's called living history. It's not reenactments. There's a
Man, that would be awesome if y'all did that.
Yeah, there's a difference between a reenactment and living history. Living history is just you're demonstrating your in period clothing. September 9th, they did Confederate cavalry living history, and that was a cool thing to see and witness.
Yeah.
In December, around the time when the battle took place in 1862, they are going to do, you know, the full December 31st to January 2nd. A full living history circuit, and just go through those few days, just talking about the battle, just strictly that. So
yes, you know, my friend Mike Lyles, the late Mike Lyles, he was a state lawmaker years ago before myself, but he owns that real beautiful home to the left right there, and I'd asked him about any ghosts. He said he's seen a man on, I think, a couple of occasions right there. I mean, he's literally right in the middle of the battlefield, next to where his house is. You know the house I'm talking about.
You're talking about the house that's over there.
Got a beautiful porch by the Thompson Lane Bridge.
Almost like right across from Hell's Half Acre and the Hazen Brigade Monument.
Yeah,
yeah,
across the street. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I was at Mike's funeral. Mike was really a good guy. Really was. He was a big history. I guess you could almost say historian. You know, much like Marty Luffman or some of these other guys that we know. You shared a story because you work for the town of Smyrna. You shared a story last week that maybe some people that weren't listening. I wanted you to share that story because we done the radio show live from Sam Davis' home Thursday, and I shared that, I think, on the air, or maybe with Roger Thomas, that's works over at Sam Davis' home, and Jenny Williams, who's been a board member for many years. But share that story. They had never heard that.
Yeah, really, they haven't heard that?
No, they had never heard what you were saying.
Okay, all right. Well, so this was a few years ago. I had started working at the Smyrna Golf Course as a groundskeeper. It was a foggy morning in the summer, which is very odd for it being foggy in the summer. I guess the weather decided to play some tricks on us. But that being said, I was out there, hopped on my fairway mower. It was one of my first few tasks in the morning. I was going to be doing that for the rest of the day. I was mowing the back nine. And for Mike's listeners who play at Smyrna, you know how hole number 11 sort of dog legs to the left. By dog leg, it just means big old curve.
Yeah.
Big old curve around the on the land and around the cart path. So there was a grave site off the cart path, literally like a foot off the cart path. That grave belongs to Mr. Wiley Sanders, his two wives, and then I believe there's actually 3 markers for children. And so there's a whole family actually buried in between or underneath these two trees. So this morning in particular, I'm coming around this dog leg, and I can see what looks like a person standing there looking into the gravesite. The grave is the marker is surrounded by a wrought iron fence. The tree has grown around this fence. So I see this figure standing there looking into the grave area, and I'm thinking, well, this is odd. There is no one supposed to be back here. It is 5:45 in the morning.
Yep.
We are not even open yet. We don't open until 7. And so I was like, well, what do I do here? I don't know. So I just like, you know what? I'm just gonna tell them, hey, no one's supposed to be back here. You need to leave. So I shut my mower off, throttle it down, hop off of it. About to go tell this person, hey, you need to leave. I look up and gone.
Yes.
There's nobody there.
Wow. And what's the name of that marker again?
Mr. Wiley Sanders.
Okay.
Yeah.
The I was sharing last week. The Sanders Cemetery is next to my father-in-law. Week Lane, you'll see Living Springs Baptist Church, and it's that dangerous curve. In fact, there was a bad wreck there the other day. Fortunately, no one was injured, but my friend Tony Campbell worked the wreck with his tow truck. But I've often asked him, I said, does the graveyard scare you? And he's like, no. He said, it's not the dead people you got to worry about, but the live ones, which is got a lot of truth to it, you know. But I had never heard that story. That's pretty amazing. So they're doing ghost tours starting this weekend.
At the Sam Davis home?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. That's what we were promoting.
Yeah.
That's what we were promoting Thursday.
Yeah.
You know, it was pretty cool. Caller. We'll take a call. Caller, go ahead.
Yes, I was calling in about the ghost stories.
Yes, who is this?
Felicia.
Oh, you sound like a really good-looking woman.
You're so silly.
That's my wife. How many years have you been married?
Too long.
Too long. Okay, I better stop there while I'm ahead. 34 years. Hey, I asked you to call. I think you called in last year or 2 years ago about the story about was it your grandfather, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tell us what happened about your granddad.
Our house. When I was growing up, he built the house I grew up in, and he and I were really close. And he fell and broke his back, and when they went in to do back surgery, he was full of cancer, so they couldn't do anything. Wow. And he passed away, and I didn't get to see him. I was 8 years old. So after he passed, it was probably a month or so. I was asleep in my room, and I heard something beside my bed, and I opened my eyes. And my papa was sitting next to my bed, and he just reached his hand out, and it scared me. And so, of course, I covered my head up, and I was really scared. And then when I finally got to where I could run to tell my mom, she had also saw him walk down our hallway.
Wow.
Yeah, that was right after he passed.
Yeah, probably 3 weeks maybe.
Oh.
If that.
Well, that I shared on the radio last week, which I know you don't never listen. But anyways, while you're on the radio with me, I want you to confirm. You remember the story about Pete, the little schnauzer, the dog we had?
Petey,
yeah. And then Sam, the other dog we had. And then Sam, which was, what was he, half? What kind of dog was he? Sam.
He was half chow and half weenie dog.
Yeah, he was a sight to be seen, being a half chow and half weenie dog. But anyways, Petey had passed away, and then Sam was up in the room, really excited. What was it, 3 a.m?
Yeah, that's always the witching time. 3.
Okay, 3 a.m. And so I thought, well, Sam's got to go out. Our dog's got to go out. Remember, it's just one dog in the house because the other one passed. So I went and put Sam out. You know, he was half chow, half weenie dog. What's that called? A dash?
I don't know.
Dachshund.
Dachshund?
I don't know how to say
Anyways,
it either.
But, you know, he was a sight to be seen. He was a loving dog, though. So I put him outside, And I went back to bed. I figured I'd leave him out for a few minutes. So I went and got him again, brought him back in, and he's still excited. And he's looking towards the hallway door. And there's two doors, one in the hallway or one in the bathroom that goes in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And so he's really excited, and he's like not agitated, but he's like just wagging his tail, kind of excited. And so he got me, kind of aggravated. So I went and put him back outside. And I'm literally, I was going to leave him out because I was like mad at him. I was just going to leave him out. And Felicia's more protective over the dogs than I am. And so I'm laying in bed, and I promise you, I started hearing a dog walking down the hall. Didn't we?
Yeah.
Do you remember what you told me?
I said, I thought you put Sam outside.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And I never said it to you. I figured you'd freak out. So I just got up, went and got the dog and let him in. He was still excited, but I've often thought that was that little dog, Petey, that came back for a visit. You know, you got any other ghost stories you want to share? I mean, that's the only one I know that you know.
I saw Nathan one time.
Oh yeah. Where did you see him, in the house?
Bedford Forest? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, no.
I'm kidding.
We're not allowed to talk about Nathan Bedford Forest on the air. Nathan was a young man that got killed in the car wreck, and I had to be the one to call the mom. Where was it, in the hall?
It was in the bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was about probably a month after we lost Nathan. And Nathan was like a son to me, and so. But I wasn't scared with Nathan. I just, it was almost like he came to tell me I'm okay.
Yeah, it's sad. Well, you were back there.
Yeah.
When he passed.
Yeah.
Anyways, yep. Well, thanks for calling. What are you doing for supper, by the way? What'd you make for supper? Leftovers. Thanks for calling.
All right,
love you. Be good. Bye. Yeah, I've shared that story about the little boy. He hung out with us, and my son's best friend, and we got a phone call middle of the night. Well, it was about 11:30, and I just got on to my son, my youngest son, Peyton. They went to prom, and I rented a limousine, and it wasn't but $100 for mine's limo, and he drove, and I tried to keep kids out of trouble, and two of them, my son got in trouble that night for drinking, and no, we wasn't fighting or nothing. Like he was like being overly friendly to the SRO, and so I got on to him and I said, don't be hanging out with them boys, you're going to get yourself in trouble. And he'd been going fishing by himself, and we got that call, one of those calls parents never want to get, and they said, hey, there's a bad car wreck, we think your son's in the car. They didn't know who it was. Man, I got up, walked down the hall, opened the door, and he was sound asleep, which is a very rare moment for him. So we went to the ER, and I got there, and I seen my wife come out with that boy's mama, and the mom like literally turned like gray. And she looked and she just nodded, like she just nodded like nah, he's gone. And I watched all that news play out, watched grandmother get news, watched father get the news. And I remember thinking, Lord, why would I be witnessing this? I'm not a counselor. I'm not a deacon. I'm not a pastor. And I seen the students, all the high school kids from Smyrna start pulling up. And, that stuff will stay with you the rest of your life. Because what do you tell a father? I mean, he fell over on asphalt crying. That's the first time I ever met the dad. And I just put my arm on him. I didn't say it's okay because it's not okay. Yeah. I guarantee you that father thinks about that boy every single day. I think we've got another caller. Caller, go ahead.
Hey, Mike. It's Marty.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Mr. Living, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. Call me Marty, please. Listen, I had supper with Felicia tonight, and she made me chili.
Yep.
I'm telling you, that woman can cook.
She's a good cook. Her mom's really a little better cook, to be honest. I know I will get in trouble for saying that, but her mom is a good cook. That's what she gets. And her grandmother was a good cook,
Yeah, well, her mother's made me food. She's made me food several times, but I couldn't tell the difference. I think both of them are excellent.
Did you ever get paddled by Mr. Rakes?
Through me?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get paddled by him. I remember a lot of other people did, and it was probably well deserved.
Exactly. Did you? Well, you didn't go to Smyrna High, though, did you?
No.
Yeah, Mr. Rakes didn't play around. We need some of that back in the system today.
I'll tell you what, you got to admire that man. You got to respect him.
Oh yeah, You know what he told me? I meant to share this earlier. I know I probably shared it with you when I told him. I said it was after Rotary, and he wanted to talk to me for a few minutes, and he was really concerned about the nursing homes because they were really short staffed, and this was at least 6 years ago. Except when his wife was over there off of Cedar Grove Road, and I see it because my sister nursed home, and they are understaffed. But you know what he told me, which was really pretty cool. I said, Mr. Rakes, it wasn't my fault. The guy was cheating off me. And Mr. Rakes, man, I thought it was so slick. He says, yeah, Mike, I knew he was cheating off of you because he answered multiple choice. I don't know either. And I was like, he had me believing him. I was like, you remember this, and then he started laughing. I was like, man, he just got me good. His mind was really, I know he's getting a little older now, but his mind has been good, But I know you shared, we didn't have enough time for you to call in at Sam Davis' home Thursday. We're promoting their ghost tours. But, one thing that was interesting, I think it was Jenny Williams brought it up, that coach, what do you call it, carriage, it may not even been restored. Carriage, it may not have been restored if it wasn't for a strange encounter you had. Tell us about that strange encounter.
Right. Well, I worked out there as a volunteer. I worked with Mrs. Beverly back in the 70s, and it was just me and her. She was the lady that ran the place, and we had days on the farm. Days on the farm was so much better than what they got now. I got to tell you, it was really great because they did live demonstrations, sheep shearing and how to make soap and all this other stuff. It was really a good time. So, anyhow, Miss Beverly, I'm on my horse out there dressed in a Confederate uniform, and I'm out there. Miss Beverly says, you need to go out there and make sure all the fires are out and make sure everybody's packed up and gone.
Yeah.
Well, I went out there, and I was riding my horse around the front, and I see a guy in a Confederate uniform. It was more black and gray or gray. So he's walking, and I hollered at him. I was polite, and I said, sir, we're closing up. He never slowed down. He never missed a step or anything. And he went straight for the barn, that big old white barn out there.
Yep.
And I followed him out there on my horse. I was trying to get his attention, but then he walked into the barn. But the interesting part got my attention real quick. He didn't open the doors. He just walked right through.
Wow.
Well, I get off my horse. I was riding a little mare I bought while I was in college. I get off my horse and I walk in. He's not there. I hollered around, but I knew that there was something wrong with this picture because when he walked through the door, and that was just impossible. But I was hollering at him and I was, trying to find out where he was. And then I looked over there and I saw this carriage, and this carriage was just filthy. It was loaded with dirt and had a lot of stuff stored on it in the front seat and inside and everything. So I go back out, and I'm back up there telling Miss Beverly about that one guy. Well, apparently Miss Beverly knew about him.
Yep.
Because she wouldn't even acknowledge. She wouldn't even talk to him about it. She didn't even address it or anything. And I changed the subject, and I said, there's a carriage in there. I said, did you know about the carriage? And she said, yeah, I know about the carriage. I said, well, we could put that in parades if you wanted to, if you let me take it home and restore it.
Yeah.
So I did. I took it to my house, put it in the garage, and I worked on it about 6 months. And I got the wheels. I couldn't do anything with the wheels because I didn't have the ability to put new rubber on or anything. But anyhow, I played tennis with the personnel director of human resources fella at Bridgestone. And I said something to him about it one day. Next thing I know, I've got two of the executives hollering at me wanting to see the carriage. And they come and they get the tires and the wheels and they send them off to, I think it's Kentucky, to the Amish.
Yeah.
They put brand new rubber on the wheels and everything. So we had it set up. I had restored it back to its original, what it was originally. I had it restored. And it was really a unique carriage because it had a sunroof on it, and it had lanterns out front for driving at night.
Well, that would be like the Cadillac back in the day.
Oh, it was. It He was super nice. And so I had a truck with a flatbed trailer, and we would load it up, and a couple of matching gray Appaloosas. I think they called them dapple gray back then. But I took it all over Middle Tennessee and put it in parades and everything.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember why, but I had other responsibilities and obligations. Might have been the fact I had a child born that kept me at home more.
Yes.
And, well, anyhow, the next thing I know, though, I was over at Sam Davis home for another one of their events, and the carriage had been put back in the barn, and collecting dust and nasty and everything. And I went and said something. I said, y'all need to take care of that carriage. That thing's really nice. Well, later on, it's been several years later, decades actually later, the current administration sent it off to have it rebuilt. Well, in my opinion, it wasn't very professional. They covered up the sunroof, and they changed out the windows. They had beveled windows in them, and it came back, and the lanterns were missing. But they've got it in the museum now. It's really an interesting piece of history.
Oh, it's beautifully restored. We shot a little video over there with Jenny and Roger Thomas, and we walked back in there to look at it. Back in the day, who was it? Who all were involved in the Sam Davis home back then?
Well, as much as I remember, it was Larry and Karen. Yeah, Tracy. It was those two people and me, and I can't remember. I can't remember exactly who it was.
You know, Roger.
About 5 of us.
Was it Roger Thomas shared the story the other day? He shared it with me last year on the radio that he went through the Sam Davis home. You know, he's I guess you call it caretaker, works there, and he said he heard a faint whisper. It was a woman, saying his name, and he thought, well, and he just didn't, he thought it was strange, and he said one of the female employees heard the same female voice say his name at Sam Davis home. I thought that was pretty intriguing. And there's stories about the music box playing. I tried to get a hold of Jamie Hicks this week. She worked over there, and I remember her telling me that they'd make the bed, and then days later you'd see where someone had sat in that same, like when someone sat on the bed,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But the house.
I saw that when I was out there.
Yep.
You could see the imprint of somebody sitting on the bed upstairs.
Yeah. Well, the ghost tours start this. Are you going to try to make it out there next weekend? I think it starts next Friday night. Mm-hmm. But Roger and Jenny, I think, is going to come up with us next month. Talk about the old Jefferson community that you know a lot about too. Well, Marty, thanks for calling in on this. All right.
Okay.
I'll catch up. Thank you, brother.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Bye-bye.
Guys, one thing I wanted to share with y'all, a few years ago, we had the Murfreesboro was doing there was some ghost tours in Murfreesboro. This was at least 15, 16 years ago. And you were 2 years old, man.
I was just a teenager or something like that.
And so we were doing a little tour. My wife went with me, and I was a new county commissioner, and we were walking around the square, and I hear this guy doing the tour, and we're at the back, and the guy says, "There's underground tunnels up here, Murfreesboro, the square." And I thought, I never heard
I didn't know
that.
that.
Yeah, I never heard that. And so I happened to see Larry Sims Real Estate, Larry's office, and Larry was in his office. It was very kind of coincidental. It was like Friday night. I remember this 15, 16 years ago. So I opened the door. I said, "Larry, you know anything about the underground tunnels?" He looked at me like, "What? Like, what kind of question is this?" And Larry's a great guy. And so we went around, and I had never heard that. He said, "Well, it was because they had slaves. There was slave auction. And they would run slaves. They didn't want, being out, on the square and everything.
Oh,
then that's how they would move back and forth." And I thought, well, that's pretty interesting, but I had never heard that. Here's what's a good example of government. Okay. Well, I went to the main person who you'd think would know everything. It was the mayor. I'm not going to say who it was at the time because I don't want to be disrespectful. It wasn't Joe Carr. It wasn't Bill Ketchum. And I was like, "Hey, you ever heard anything about the underground tunnels?" And the guy looked at me like, "What? Like you crazy?" And I said, well, I'd heard about these underground tunnels, these ghost tours. Well, he thought, it's kind of a dumb question. Well, then I seen Gary Farley, who was a captain of the Commercial Fire Department, now our state fire marshal. I said, Gary, you ever heard anything about any underground tunnels? And Gary said, I've heard that they were doing some construction with Public Works up there, having to dig out, put some sewer lines in or something. He said they run across some stuff, is what they had mentioned. But then I went to the janitor. That's where I got the news, man. The custodian. Okay. So I see the custodian. I wish I remembered her name. She drove a 4Runner, and little petite lady, and I guess she was late 40s, 50s. And I said, you heard anything about some underground tunnels? And she said, come on, I'll take you to them. And this was, I was leaving the county commission meeting. It was like 9:15 at night, and her and I still chit-chatting. And the late Mr. Brandon, he's since passed, a great guy. He'd been there for years. And he had often heard things at the courthouse. So we literally, her and I went over the old coin building, which is on it'd be what do you call that? Would be the northwest corner right there. You go by.
The square?
Yeah.
Okay.
And to the left of Larry Sims' office. And so literally, man, she opens up a door, and we went to the basement at night. I mean, and I was kind of nervous because I'm back here by myself with this female, and I'm thinking, man, what happened if the door got trapped in there? What would people be thinking, And we seen where you could see like a old pickaxe had hand dug all those the tunnel, but it was blocked up. And what she told me later, she found out the story she heard is that some workhouse inmates were up there, like they would work on the furniture or clean stuff like that, and some went down the tunnels, wound up at Murphy Springs. And if somebody knows more about this story, text me 525-3198, and wound up and somehow got into some moonshine or got into some kind of alcohol, and they ended up blocking up the tunnels.
Right.
That was the story I heard. But that taught me a lesson. Sometimes the news is not with the top guy; it's with the bottom person, because they hear a lot more stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But are y'all gonna be doing any ghost tours or anything like that?
I do want to share something, and I want to relate this to the Bible, of course, because these ghost stories, these are very much real. In order to say these, we have to either be a lunatic or a liar or telling the truth. And I know that, of course, I can see on your faces, your attitudes, that this is the truth for y'all. Y'all seen this, y'all heard these things. And I want to give a specific scripture of 2 Corinthians 11:14, and it goes, no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light.
Yes.
And all these things that we see are not of people, but of spirits and Satan himself disguising himself. Because in the Bible it says if we even try to talk to the dead is an abomination to God, and that's necromancy. So all of this is just the fact. Also, another point, the Bible says that we don't fight against flesh and blood, but of wickedness or principalities.
Yes.
So this isn't just, of course, people passing away and all that, but this is even deeper, that Satan wants to harm people emotionally, physically, or, of course, with like my friends or my grandpa, anybody who has passed away, especially meaningful deaths. He wants to take advantage of human emotion, and he knows how to do so. He's been doing it for thousands of years.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, the name of Jesus is a powerful name. I mean, I tell you, if I run across any entities, that's the name I'm calling on.
Absolutely. That's the only name you should call on.
I like that story about where the man where Jesus stepped out of the boat in Mark, and no one could bind this man who was supposed to be demonically possessed
by a legion.
A
legion of demons.
Which was 1,000
more.
Okay, and they couldn't bind the guy, and Jesus cast it out, and the demons wanted to go into the pigs, and then they ran off the cliff, and then the people asked him to leave the area. You know,
I think the best part of that story is that when the man saw Jesus didn't even speak yet, and he fell to the ground begging for mercy.
Yes.
Just the sight of him.
Is that not cool?
That either proves that Jesus' authority is so strong that it causes 1,000+ demons to just beg for like mercy. Like we don't really see that too often of people just begging for their lives.
Yeah.
And that is more powerful than a lot of people take credit for.
Well, I had a guy on the radio with me a couple of years ago, Gene. Oh man, what's Gene's last name? He's with Teen Challenge. Gene Garcia. And that guy was on heroin, jacked up, living on the streets, homeless. I remember he's told me he's seen this van and it had the word hope, HOPE, hope on it. And he goes, man, that's what I need. I need me some hope, you know. And he was just down and out. And he said, I just called the name of Jesus, man. He said, I just asked for a healing. He said, I'm going to tell you what. He said, I felt something come across me. And he had no desire after that.
Absolutely.
And so when folks want to deny and folks want to mock and they say there's no power, you tell that to Gene Garcia that was free to heroin. It wasn't no government program. It wasn't no grants. It wasn't no federal subsidies. It was one name. What's that name?
Jesus.
Amen.
I always say that when people try to deny like Jesus' existence, I always tell them that there's more proof Jesus existed than you do right now, and I'm speaking to you.
It is pretty cool. Well, it's refreshing to hear you as a young 18-year-old.
Yes, sir.
You know, because sometimes my generation, you know, we think y'all are all going to hell in a handbasket. You know what I mean? You know, and you know, being back in school, it's refreshing to see, you know, folks your age and older. I shared a testimony with some students at Montlow, and they were all open. You know, they were all open, and I think we've got to be bold. And like with Jeremy, whether you reach him through music, playing the drums, and do you do any playing music or anything?
No, sir. I just speak.
Oh, just speak.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
You sing?
No.
You dance?
Actually, that's a coincidence because I did just practice dance with my church. We're going to have this big old dance. And
For
we're gonna
real?
record it.
Oh,
Yes.
nice. I was just kidding you.
No, yeah,
Okay.
that's the coincidence. That's the coincidence, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, no, there's power in music. You know, when I told
Absolutely.
you this morning, I talked about Amazing Grace, and you know, and give God the glory. I passed that bill, making it the official state hymn, and you know, it was written by a slave ship captain, and there's a story of redemption with John Newton. John Newton influenced a lawmaker in Great Britain and worked to free the slaves for years. They freed the slaves before America did.
Yep.
Like 30 years before, maybe 25 years before. And William Wilberforce.
1808 is when they stopped the Atlantic slave trade, but they didn't stop slavery altogether. But,
he fought for years and years and years. One man continued to fight, continued to have encouragement, and that's what led John Newton to write Amazing Grace.
Absolutely.
You know, here God used a slave ship captain. But here's what's cool. With me, thankfully, I watched the Lord work with this. You know, everybody wants to tear down monuments. They want to erase history. They want to change the name of football teams, and it's just foolishness, ridiculous in my book. And we had a lawmaker wanting to, it was something about Nathan Bedford or something like that. And I said, I'm going to honor a slave ship captain next year. Will you help me? And everybody looked at me like, you are crazy. You're crazy. And I said, I said again, I'm going to honor a slave ship captain. Will you help me? She didn't know what to think. And it was John Newton. I said, how far are we going? Are we going to ban Amazing Grace? Are we going to ban these old hymns? How far are we going with all this woke cancel culture, political correctness today? And there's an effort they're very well organized to erase things. The cancel culture woke crowd is real. Well, here's what happened. My assistant, who's African-American, you know, we filed the bill. Everybody's talking about like, oh man, Mike Sparks creating controversy, you know, and I didn't have a Senate sponsor because everybody's scared of political correctness. I mean, people talk bold. Let them get out there on the front end and see how bold they are.
Absolutely.
A lot of people aren't bold. That's what I appreciate about you. We'll come up and share your faith here.
Yes,
and here's how the Lord lined this up. A black Democrat out of Memphis, Senator Akbar, he carried it. And we passed it, and I had people whisper to me, lawmakers. Some of them are pretty bold. Jerry Sex was one of them, and he says, man, this is so brilliant how you did this. I said, man, it's not me being brilliant. It's the good Lord being brilliant.
Absolutely.
He's the one that masterminded this whole endeavor. So I was playing Amazing Grace in my mom's final hours. She's from Scotland, and I know I've shared this before. The power of music. I was playing Amazing Grace with the bagpipes, and my mom's from Scotland. And my mom was in a lot of pain in her last days, just moans. I could hear the moans on the other side of the hall, the other side of the house. They were so loud in the middle of the night, just moaning and her breathing hard. And I was like, man, I hope I don't, it was just odd. And I started playing Amazing Grace, and I watched her breathing calm down. I watched her moans calm down. The next morning she passed.
The peace of the Lord.
And you know how many tears I shed?
Probably not much.
Zero.
That's because you know the Lord.
Because my mom was ready.
Absolutely.
But here's what's cool, and this is where I hope folks like Jackson, get this.
Of course.
I told my mom about a lady that passed away. Miss Tomlin was her name. And the scripture, I believe it's John 14:2, in my Father's house there are many, many mansions.
Oh, yes, I know what you're referring to. Yes.
And so I go tell my mom, she's in nurse home for a short stint while we're getting the house ready to bring her home. And I said, Mom, just want to let you know, Miss Tomlin passed away. And I knew a lot of folks in Smyrna. Laverne knew Tim Tomlin, knew a lot of the Tomlins. And my mom said, that's strange. She said, I had a dream about Miss Tomlin last night. And in the dream, she says, she had John 14:2-3. And she said, in the dream, because the scripture says, in my Father's house there are many mansions. If it wasn't so, I would have told you where I'm going to prepare a place for you. And where I go, prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you with me. You'll be there with me also. All right, so I tell my mom, just want to let you know, Miss Tomlin died. And I just put that scripture on Facebook, on Jennifer Tomlin, my niece Facebook. You know what my mom says? She said, that's strange. I dreamt about Miss Tomlin. I seen her, and there's these houses under construction. And then she said, and my stepsister, who'd been dead for 12 years, who was her daughter-in-law, was standing with her. Is that not cool?
That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, David. Thank you, Jackson, producer.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Folks,
sir.
we'll talk to y'all next week for more ghost stories on Rutherford Magazine Show. Thank you.